Good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nemeka Waderiri. The tragedy of the current Nigeria situation is that not many Nigerians are aware of the parameters that are used to measure and situate and evaluate good governance and good government. In Nigeria, Nigeria is a developing economy. In fact, Nigeria is a third world country. And Nigeria has peers that started the same race with them at the same time. Indonesia, Malaysia, Vietnam, Singapore, and all the rest of them. As of 1980, China had more poor people than any other nation in the whole world. They had 789. They had about over 700 million poor people in China. But China pursued one program: massive education, massive training, massive knowledge impartation to their people. Deliberate government support and sponsorship. They were building schools, equipping schools, recruiting the best, smartest teachers, sending some of their brightest and smartest abroad to acquire knowledge and technology. And between 1980 to 2005, China moved their literacy level from 61% to 97%. The same thing for Singapore and other of the Asian countries. Today, China is competing with US shoulder to shoulder. Singapore has gone ahead of every other person. Singapore, go and check. So, most Nigerians do not even understand the basic indicators of measuring good governance. The Human Development Index is universally accepted as parameters for measuring good governance. Now, what are the human development indicators? Look at education, look at health, look at life expectancy, look at GDP per capita in terms of revenue attributable to each of the citizens and the inhabitants of that country or society. Go look at Vietnam, look at Indonesia, even Tunisia. Look at other life expectancy over 75%. Nigeria life expectancy is about 56 years. So in Nigeria who is above 50 years is already thinking about anything outside above 65, 55, 55, 56 years. Extra thanks to God. When Singapore has life expectancy of 84 years. Look at literacy level, education. Today in Nigeria, we have over 20.3 million kids out of school. They don't have any access to any form of formal education. In 2015, it was 10 million. Today, it is 20 million. Singapore moved literacy level from 57% to 98%. China did the same thing. So for a country that moved the number of out of school kids from 10 million in 2015 to 20 million in 2023, is retrogressing atrociously. And it is this level of illiteracy, even those who carry certificates, professors, some of them are even illiterates. They did not pass the test of knowledge and character that is attributable to those that went to acquire knowledge through the four walls of the class, through secondary school, university. That is why we are where we are today. That is why we have the most terrorized country in Africa. That is why we have 1.7 million Nigerians in extreme poverty. If we want to build up the HGI on the education sector, we know what to do. UNESCO standards simply for a country in our precarious position. We need to amend the relevant laws and constitution to make it compulsory. Every revenues we are going to be earning in this country, every borrowings, 25% of every kobo we are going to earn must go into funding education. Not just doing brick and mortar like most people are doing. Oh, we are building smart schools. Training the personnel, equipping the personnel, and making sure that the smartest of all goes into the classroom. In the developed world, the smartest go into pure sciences, STEM. But in Nigeria, the smartest go into applied sciences. So we must be very deliberate. In terms of remuneration, we must ensure that minimum wage for those in the teaching profession, those in primary school, secondary school, to university, minimum 400,000 naira. When you do this, there was a time in Nigeria, during universities, the smartest are retained as teachers in secondary school. My father told me, and growing up then in Nigeria, from even standard 6, the smartest are retained to teach in primary school, those whose parents could not take them further. After secondary school, the smartest are retained. Some of them go to teachers training colleges, are retained. In the university, the smartest are retained to lecture. So you could see the value and quality of education then in public schools. Today, the smartest are not in the classroom. When I left Abia State University, I was called back and nominated to go and teach. 28,000 naira a month. I stayed there 16 months. I ran away. I went away. And the same thing. Many of the smartest faculty scholars and all those stuff are not staying back in the classroom. And because there is the condition of living, the remuneration is nothing to write home about. So if we want to improve education, if we want to have literacy level in Nigeria to 98% over the next 12 years, we know what to do. Amend the laws. 25% of every of our borrowing revenue should be invested in education. Build up the infrastructure, build up the software, train the teachers, recruit the smartest and pay them well. And in 12 years, you will see Nigeria flying. On the health sector, there must be primary health access to health for every Nigerian. Health insurance must be compulsory. We must provide health insurance. We must equip the basic primary healthcare centers. We must equip the tertiary healthcare centers. We must adopt missions, communities, primary public personnel in developing the health sector. And we must pay our health workers well to stop the Japa syndrome. Look at Nigeria. In 2007, maternal mortality rate was 547. Maternal mortality simply means that 547 women die out of every 100,000 during childbirth. In 2014-15, the number moved to 847. Today, 2023, the maternal mortality rate is 1,047 out of every 100,000 births. Does it make sense in Nigeria? These are things we should be looking. How do we improve on it? Then on the issue of GDP per capita, as at 2007, when Obasanjo handed over, our GDP per capita was about $2,503. We had over 4 million middle class population. When Jonathan handed over, as at 2014, the GDP per capita was over $2,000. Today, GDP per capita is $1,000. So how can anybody look at this parameter, the HGIs, and say Nigeria is making progress? Let me tell you, whatever programs, policies, projects, trips, whatever revenues they are generating or borrowing, that any government is doing, whatever any government is doing, whose impacts are not reflected in these core 4 parameters, is Ponzi game. So we must look at those numbers. Why do people say that Peter did this so well in Anambra State? Peter did not go building new schools. Like the silly guy, will say, show me the new primary schools Peter built. Peter did not go stealing money, doing brick-and-mortar projects that will overinflate contracts for him to steal money. What he simply was, there was enough primary school, enough secondary school in Anambra State, and they weren't being properly taken care of. There were a lot of criminality in the public bureaucracy. Peter handed over those schools to the missions and funded them directly. He cut out the 60% layer of criminality in the public sector. 2006, when he became governor, Anambra was number 28 in the Education Excellence Index. By the time he left in 2014, Anambra was number 1. Go and check. Most of Anambra public schools, from Regina Pacis to CKC Onitsha, they go to places like Silicon Valley and they come out tops science competitions. Today, Anambra has the least number of out-of-school kids, only 30,000. This was a state people used to say they don't go to school, they are traders. But under 8 years, the numbers improved. On the health sector, you could see what he did. In the Human Development Index, you could see the numbers. The World Bank, the WHO, and even the Melinda Gates Foundation. You could see the impact in the life of the people. You know, I just pray that God will help us. Most of us don't even understand the basics. If what you don't understand, you cannot measure. So in practical times, we know for us to drive down inflation, we must diversify this economy. Let me tell you, even if you jack up MPR to 30%, inflation cannot come down. You don't tackle inflation, the kind of inflation we have in Nigeria, using the MPR instrumentalities. You don't tackle poverty, sharing 75,000 naira to 70 million poor Nigerians. It will not work. You don't stop poverty and tackle inflation, borrowing, moving the debt profile of Nigeria from 12 trillion in 2015 to 77 trillion in 2023 and to 131 trillion. You are borrowing and frittering away. You tackle inflation, reduce poverty by diversifying in the other sectors of the economy that have immediate impact. And that is why we have always advocated that the lowest hanging fruit is the agro value chain. And we've shared with the government of Nigeria, both at the federal, at the state and local government areas, how we can, using the same scheme, the nation's community, diaspora, private, public partnership arrangement, build up agro parks and agro value chain architecture in such a way that we can easily achieve 99% domestic food sufficiency and have over $250 billion agro export annually. The numbers are very easy. These things are very easy to do. And we will have agro rangers that can help us destroy insecurity in less than 1 year. We have the template. All that is lacking is the sincerity, the political will, the honesty among the political class to seek for help and for us to help them to drive it. Of course, some of the things we share are so transparent in execution that it will not allow them to over-invoice. What they just want to do, okay, oh, well, I want them flyover. The other one says he build the level flyover. Go and check the contract sum. Over 400% the rate value. And they will award the contract. The contractor will help them to collect 300% that is on top. They will look for one malam to buy dollar. And they think we don't know what they are doing. They are building roads. They are bringing at a log and Arise to come and cover it. We know what they are doing. They are only after doing those brick and mortar things. Building an airport and nobody's flying. Those things that will enable them over inflate the contract sum. Go and look at the budget. Over 60% of whatever is budgeted in Nigeria today as expenditure across the system are stolen and looted. And that is why you will never see them sit down and think creatively like Michael Obama, like Jokonde, like Desmond Mbakwe, like Awolowo, like Tafawa Balewa, like Ahmadu Bello. They cannot think creatively like this great men of legacy. Because those ones were after what they can do to improve the life of their people. Michael Obama's vision was how he can put affordable food on the table of every citizen of the old Eastern Nigeria. These are the ones that are today in power, are only after how they will just use propaganda, steal as much as they can steal, as if they are demonic kleptomaniacs. May God have mercy on us. Amen. God have mercy. Never seen a bunch of political hoodlums